The large alien ship moved slowly through space toward a small blue planet. High Commander Velther stood on the bridge, looking at the screens that showed this new world. His 4 eyes studied the data that his crew had collected. This planet, called Earth, was the 3rd rock from a yellow star, and it had life on it. "Sir, we have finished our scans," said his second officer, Krickstow. The creature's voice came through a translator device. "The dominant species appears to be bipedal mammals. They call themselves humans." Velther made a sound that was like a laugh. In his long life, he had seen many species join the Zephyrian Empire. Some joined willingly. Others needed to be convinced. But all of them eventually became part of their great civilization. These humans would be no different. "What is their technology level?" Velther asked, his tail swishing behind him as he walked around the bridge. "Very primitive, sir. They still use chemical rockets to leave their planet. Their weapons are mostly kinetic projectiles and crude explosives. No energy shields, no plasma weapons, no faster-than-light travel." Krickstow paused to check his data pad. "They have only recently developed basic nuclear technology." Velther nodded. This was even easier than he had thought. The humans were barely out of their Stone Age compared to the Empire's technology. Their ships could travel between stars in days. Their weapons could destroy entire cities from space. Their shields could stop any attack these primitives could make. "What about their biology?" Velther asked. He always liked to know about the species he was about to add to the Empire. "Interesting, sir. They are persistence hunters, like the Quarthic, but much weaker. They have forward-facing eyes, which is unusual for prey species. Their planet has high gravity and a thick atmosphere. They seem to be adapted for endurance rather than strength or speed." The High Commander looked at the images of humans on his screen. They were small creatures, much smaller than his own species. They had soft skin with no natural armor. No claws, no fangs, no poison. They looked harmless. "Have they responded to our presence yet?" he asked. "Yes, sir. They have sent several radio transmissions toward our scout ships. Mostly questions about who we are and what we want. Very polite, very curious. No signs of aggression or fear." Velther was pleased. Most species either attacked immediately or hid when they first saw the Empire's ships. These humans seemed civilized enough to talk. That would make the integration process much smoother. Far below on Earth, Captain Jake Morrison sat in the command center of the orbital station New Horizon. He had been staring at the same set of data for 3 hours, and it still did not make sense. The objects that had appeared near Jupiter were clearly artificial. They were too regular, too purposeful to be anything else. "Sir, we're getting another transmission from the outer system," said Lieutenant Mary Johnson, the communications officer. She had been working double shifts since the objects appeared. "Put it through," Jake said, rubbing his tired eyes. The voice that came through the speakers was strange, clearly artificial, like a computer trying to sound human. "Greetings, inhabitants of the 3rd planet. We are representatives of the Zephyrian Empire. We have come to offer you membership in our great civilization." Jake looked around the room at his team. Dr. Lisa Parker, their xenobiologist, was taking notes frantically. Colonel Ben Hayes, their military advisor, had his arms crossed and was frowning. Everyone else just looked confused. "This is Captain Morrison of the Earth Defense Force," Jake replied into his microphone. "We welcome contact with your people. Can you tell us more about this empire you mentioned?" There was a pause, then the artificial voice continued. "The Zephyrian Empire spans 12 star systems and includes many species. We bring technology, peace, and prosperity to all who join us. Your species shows potential for useful service within our structure." Dr. Parker leaned over to Jake. "Did they just call us useful for service?" she whispered. Jake nodded grimly. Continue transmission, he said. Your planet will be integrated into the Empire. Your people will be relocated to appropriate service. Worlds where they can contribute to the greater good. This process will begin in 30 of your solar days. Resistance is not recommended and will result in pacification protocols. The transmission ended, leaving the command center in silence. Colonel Hayes was the first to speak. They just gave us an ultimatum. Join or be conquered. That's what it sounds like, Jake agreed. Lisa, what's your assessment? Dr. Parker looked up from her notes. Based on the language patterns and the casual way they're talking about relocating our entire species, I'd say they've done this before, many times. We're probably just another primitive species to them. Jake activated the emergency communication system. Within minutes, he was connected to leaders around the world. President Amanda Foster appeared on the main screen, along with other world leaders. Captain Morrison, what's the situation? President Foster asked. Madam President, we have a problem. We've made contact with an alien empire, and they're not here to be friends. They want to add Earth to their collection, and they're giving us 30 days to surrender. The president was quiet for a moment. What are options? Colonel Hayes stepped forward. Limited, ma'am. If they have faster-than-light travel, and we don't, they have a huge advantage. But we won't know their full capabilities until we see their main fleet. Back on the alien ship, Velther was reviewing the human response with his officers. The humans had asked for more time to consider the offer. This was normal. Most species needed time to accept their new reality. Sir, should we send more ships? To show our strength? Asked Crystal. Not yet. Let them think about it. Their leaders seem reasonable. They will see that joining the Empire is their best option. Velther looked at the image of Earth on his screen. Such a pretty little world. It will make a nice addition to our territory. What Velther did not know was that he had just made the biggest mistake in the Empire's history. He had given humans 30 days to prepare, 30 days to study his ships, 30 days to plan, and humans were very good at planning when their survival was at stake. The countdown had begun. Sub-Commander Krickstahl floated in his command pod, watching the primitive human world through his ship's sensors. 25 days had passed since the ultimatum, and the humans were behaving exactly as expected. Their military forces were moving around their planet, but it looked like they were preparing to surrender. Status report, Krickstahl ordered his crew. The humans had stopped all aggressive action, sir, reported his sensor officer. No weapons pointed at our ships. No attacks on our monitoring stations. They appear to be reorganizing their industrial capacity. Krickstahl made a pleased sound, probably preparing to produce goods for the Empire. Smart little creatures. They understand their place. What Krickstahl could not see was what was really happening on Earth, in hidden bunkers and underground facilities. Humans were working around the clock, but they were not building goods for the Empire. General Rick Stone stood in the war room, deep beneath the Pentagon, looking at screens that showed activity around the globe. Every major nation was contributing to Operation Ghost Protocol. Factories that once made cars were now building weapons. Computer companies were creating new targeting systems. Even civilian scientists were working on the project. Status report, Colonel, General Stone said to a young officer. Sir, production is ahead of schedule. The kinetic penetrator rounds are rolling off the assembly lines. The new targeting computers are being installed on every ship and station. And the special project in Nevada is ready for testing. General Stone nodded. The special project was humanity's biggest gamble. They had captured an alien monitoring device, and Dr. Nina Chun had been studying it for weeks. What she found could change everything. On the other side of the world, Dr. Chun was working in her laboratory. She had not slept properly in days, but she was too excited to rest. The alien technology was amazing, but it had a critical flaw. The energy shields worked by deflecting plasma and laser weapons, she explained to her assistant, Dr. Kevin Brown. But look at this. She pointed to a diagram on her computer screen. The shield generators create a barrier that pushes energy attacks away. But kinetic weapons, bullets, rockets, anything solid, can overload the system if they hit hard enough and fast enough. Dr. Brown looked confused. But why would that matter? Their weapons are so much more advanced than ours. Dr. Chun smiled. For the first time in days. Because they designed their shields to fight other advanced species. Species that use energy weapons. They never expected anyone to still be using primitive kinetic weapons. Meanwhile, Marine Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez was on a very different kind of mission. He was floating in space near one of the alien monitoring stations, wearing a modified spacesuit. His job was to get captured Dot. It was not a mission he enjoyed, but it was necessary. Earth needed to know more about alien technology, and sometimes the best way to learn was to get inside their ships. The alien station detected him easily. A small ship came out and brought him aboard. Sam did not resist. He let them take his weapons and put him in a holding cell. The aliens who captured him were tall and thin, with gray skin and large black eyes. They spoke to each other in clicking, sounds that his translator could not understand. Human, one of them said in broken English. Why are you here? Sam looked at the alien and said nothing. He had been trained for this. The alien made an angry sound and pressed a button on a device. Pain shot through Sam's body, but he gritted his teeth and stayed quiet. The alien looked surprised. This pain setting works on all known species. Alien said to his partner, try a higher setting. More pain, worse than before. Sam felt like his bones were on fire, but he did not scream. He had been through worse in training. The aliens looked at each other with what Sam thought might be confusion. They tried different settings, different types of pain. Sam endured it all. What they did not know was that humans had been torturing each other for thousands of years. They had developed ways to resist that no other species had needed. After several hours, the aliens gave up and put Sam back in his cell. He had learned something important. They were not as tough as they pretended to be. Back on Earth, President Foster was meeting with world leaders through secure video links. The conversation was serious and quiet. The aliens think we're surrendering, she said. Our intelligence suggests they're not bringing their main fleet until after the deadline. They're overconfident. The Chinese premier spoke next. Our factories are producing the new weapons at maximum capacity. But will they be enough? They have to be, replied the Russian president. We have one chance to surprise them. If we fail, there will be no second chance. Admiral Marcus Webb was aboard the carrier U.S. Liberty, hidden behind the moon. Around him, the largest fleet in human history was waiting. Ships from every nation, armed with the new weapons that Dr. Chun had designed. Admiral, his communications. Officer called out. We just received a message from Lieutenant Rodriguez. He's been captured, but he's sending intelligence about alien ship design. Marcus read the report on his tablet. The information was exactly what they needed. The aliens were tough, but they had weaknesses. They were not used to pain. They were not used to enemies who fought back after being hurt. On the alien command ship, High Commander Velther was preparing for the final phase of the integration. Tomorrow was the deadline, and the humans had not responded to their ultimatum. That meant they were accepting their fate. Bring the main fleet out of hyperspace, he ordered. Position them around the planet. We will begin the relocation process immediately after the deadline expires. His officer hesitated. Sir, should we scan for weapons first? The humans have been very quiet. Velther made a dismissive gesture. They have no weapons that can threaten us. Their technology is centuries behind ours. What could they possibly do? As the alien fleet moved into position around Earth, they were confident and relaxed. They had done this many times before. Primitive species always surrendered when they saw the full might of the Empire. What they did not know was that hidden in asteroid fields, behind moons, and in the shadows of space, stations, human ships were waiting. Ships armed with weapons designed specifically to destroy alien technology. Captain Tony Blake sat in his fighter, watching the alien ships through his targeting system. The new kinetic rounds were loaded and ready. His squadron had been training for this moment for weeks. All units, this is Liberty Command, came the voice of Admiral Webb over the radio. The aliens have taken the bait. They think we're helpless. Tomorrow, we show them what humans do when someone threatens their home. Dr. Chun was in her laboratory, watching the alien fleet on her monitors. She had done the calculations 100 times. The kinetic penetrator rounds should work. The alien shields should fail. But theory and practice were different things. Nina, General Stone said through her communicator. Are you sure about this? As sure as I can be, General. But we'll know for certain in a few hours. Lieutenant Rodriguez was still in his alien cell, but he was not just sitting there. He was studying everything he could see. The walls, the guards, the way the ship operated. He was learning that the aliens were not as strong as they looked. They moved carefully, like they were afraid of getting hurt. They wore thick armor, even inside their own ships. Most importantly, he noticed that they seemed to need rest more often than humans. Every few hours, the guards would change, and the new ones always looked fresh and alert. The old ones looked tired. As the deadline approached, both sides prepared for what was coming. The aliens were confident that tomorrow would be another easy victory. The humans knew it would be the most important fight in their history. Neither side fully understood what they were about to face. The aliens had never fought a species that refused to give up. They had never encountered weapons designed to exploit their weaknesses. They had never met an enemy that would rather die than surrender. The humans had never fought an enemy with such advanced technology. They had never faced weapons that could destroy cities from space. They had never been so completely outnumbered. But humans had one advantage that the aliens did not expect. They had been fighting each other for thousands of years. They knew how to win when the odds were against them. Tomorrow would decide the fate of both species. The deadline had passed. High Commander Velther stood on his bridge, looking at the blue planet below. The humans had not responded to their final warning. It was time to begin the pacification protocols. Begin the energy bombardment, Velther ordered. Target their military installations first. We want to disable their ability to resist, not destroy the workforce. Energy beams shot down from the alien ships toward Earth, but something was wrong. Instead of the easy destruction they expected, the beams were met by return fire. Kinetic. Rounds traveling at incredible speed slammed into the alien ships. Shields holding, reported Velther's tactical officer, but his voice sounded uncertain. But sir, their weapons are causing unusual stress patterns. From his hiding place behind the moon, Admiral Marcus Webb watched the battle begin. The first phase was working. The aliens were confused by humanity's response. All units, this is Liberty Command, he broadcast to the human fleet. Execute Operation Sledgehammer. Show them what kinetic weapons can do. Captain Rachel Stone led her fighter squadron out from behind an asteroid. Her ship was small compared to the alien vessels, but it was fast and hard to target. More importantly, it was armed with the new penetrator rounds that Dr. Chun had designed. Blue Squadron, target the nearest destroyer Rachel ordered. "Hit them with everything we have." The human fighters swarmed around the alien ship like angry bees. Their weapons fired continuously, sending solid projectiles at high speed toward the alien shields. At first, the shields held, but as more and more rounds hit the same spots, cracks began to appear. On the alien ship, panic was beginning to set in. "Sir, the shield generators are overheating," reported the engineer. "These kinetic weapons are causing resonance failures. We need to retreat and recalibrate." But retreat was not an option. More human ships were appearing from hiding spots throughout the solar system. The aliens found themselves surrounded by enemies they had not expected. Commander Tony Blake was leading a boarding party toward a disabled alien vessel. His team wore powered armor and carried weapons designed for close combat. They had trained for this moment, but none of them knew what to expect inside an alien ship. The human assault shuttle punched through the alien ship's hull like a bullet through paper. The aliens had designed their ships to resist energy weapons, not crude kinetic impacts. "Move, move, move," Tony shouted as his team poured into the alien vessel. The corridors were tall and narrow, designed for the thin alien bodies. But humans adapted quickly. The first alien they met was wearing light armor and carrying an energy weapon. The creature fired at Tony, but the human armor absorbed the blast. Tony's return fire, a simple kinetic rifle, punched through the alien's protection like it was made of paper. "Their armor is designed wrong," Tony reported over his radio. "It stops energy, but not bullets. Keep using kinetic weapons." Back on Earth, Dr. Nina Chun was coordinating the technical aspects of the battle from her bunker. She watched the battle reports, coming in with growing excitement. Her theories were working better than she had hoped. "General Stone," she called. "Out. The alien shields are failing faster than predicted. Their energy distribution system can't handle sustained kinetic impact. We can break through their defenses." General Stone smiled grimly. "Good. Phase 2 is ready to begin. Launch the special packages." Throughout the solar system, human cargo ships began releasing their secret cargo. Thousands of small objects, each no bigger than a baseball, scattered in all directions. The alien sensors detected them, but dismissed them as debris. They were wrong. Each object was a kinetic impactor, designed to hit alien ships at high speed. They were too small for the alien weapons to target effectively, but when they hit, they caused significant damage. Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez was still imprisoned on the alien monitoring station, but the situation had changed. The aliens guarding him were nervous and scared. They kept looking at their communication devices and talking in worried tones. Sam had been observing his captors for days, and he had learned their weaknesses. They were not used to physical pain. They tired easily. Most importantly, they panicked. When things did not go according to plan, when the battle started, the guards became distracted. Sam saw his chance. He had been working on weakening his cell door for days, using a small piece of metal he had hidden. When the guards ran to deal with the crisis, he broke free. The alien station was in chaos. Crew members were running around, trying to coordinate with their fleet. They did not notice one human moving through there. Corridors. Sam found the station's communication center and did something the aliens never expected. He began transmitting human tactical information directly to the alien fleet, but he changed the data to confuse them. Instead of helping, the information made their situation worse. On the main alien command ship, High Commander Velther was beginning to understand that he had made a terrible mistake. The humans were not surrendering. They were fighting back with tactics he had never seen before. "Sir, we're receiving conflicting reports from all sectors," his communications officer reported. "Some ships are reporting shield failures. Others are under boarding attack. And we're getting strange tactical data from the monitoring stations." How is this possible? Velther demanded. They are primitives. Their weapons are crude. His tactical officer looked up from his instruments with fear in his large eyes. Sir, I think we misunderstood their technology. Their kinetic weapons are more effective than we calculated. And their tactics. They're not fighting the way civilized species fight. Captain Jake Morrison was aboard the U's Defiance, leading a direct assault on one of the larger alien ships. His vessel was taking heavy damage, but the crew kept fighting. This was exactly the kind of situation humans excelled at. Desperate battles against impossible odds. Direct hit on their main reactor, reported his weapons officer, Lieutenant Dave Miller. Their shields are down to 30%. Keep firing, Jake ordered. Don't give them time to repair. The alien ship tried to retreat, but human fighters had surrounded it. Every time it tried to move, kinetic rounds slammed into its hull. The aliens had never faced an enemy that attacked from all directions at once. Dr. Chun was analyzing the battle data when she noticed something important. General, the aliens are using predictable flight patterns. Their ships move in formation, like they're following a textbook. Our pilots are adapting to their tactics, but they're not adapting to ours. General Stone understood immediately. They've never fought a chaotic battle. They're used to civilized warfare with rules and formations. We need to be more unpredictable. The order went out to all human forces. Abandon standard tactics. Use everything unconventional. The response was immediate and devastating. Human ships began using asteroid fields as weapons, pushing large rocks toward alien vessels. Fighter pilots started ramming attacks, sacrificing their own ships to disable larger alien vessels. Ground-based? Weapons launched everything from modified mining equipment to repurposed construction tools. The aliens had never seen anything like it. In their experience, warfare was conducted between professional militaries using established tactics. They had never fought a species that would use anything and everything as a weapon. Colonel Amy Fisher was leading a desperate boarding action on an alien command ship. Her team had taken heavy casualties, but they kept advancing. The aliens they encountered seemed shocked by human endurance. They keep fighting even when wounded, she heard one alien say to another through her translator. How is this possible? Amy smiled grimly. The aliens were learning what humans were really like. But it was too late for them to change their tactics. As the battle continued, more human reinforcements arrived. Ships that had been hiding throughout the solar system, armed with every weapon humanity could create. The aliens found themselves outnumbered by an enemy they had completely underestimated. High Commander Velther made a decision that no Zephyrian commander had ever made before. Send a retreat signal to all ships. We are withdrawing from this system. But retreat was not easy. Human forces pursued the alien ships, attacking them as they tried to escape. The aliens' faster-than-light drives needed time to charge, and the humans were not giving them that time. By the end of the day, half the alien fleet was destroyed or disabled. The remaining ships limped away, carrying news that would shake the entire Zephyrian Empire. On Earth, celebrations began in every major city. Humanity had won its first battle against an alien invasion, but the leaders knew this was just the beginning. They'll be back, President Foster said during an emergency meeting, and next time they'll be ready for our tactics. Admiral Webb nodded. Then we'll have to be ready with new ones. We've shown them that humans don't surrender. Now we have to show them what happens when you threaten our home. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer the primitive species the aliens had expected. They were something much more dangerous, survivors who refused to give up. High Commander Velther stood before the Empire Council, his forearms hanging in shame. The great hall was filled with representatives from 12 different species, all staring at him with varying degrees of anger and disbelief. Explain to. U.S., said Supreme Chancellor Mordok, the ancient leader of the Zephyrian Empire. How a primitive species with chemical rockets defeated half of your fleet. Velthur's translator struggled to find words. Supreme Chancellor, the humans. They fight differently than any species we have encountered. They do not follow the rules of civilized warfare. Rules? The Chancellor's voice rose to a dangerous pitch. You lost ships to primitives, and you speak of rules? War Master Thekvar, leader of the elite Korthic warriors, stepped forward. His massive frame was covered in battle scars from 100 conquests. Give me the Second Fleet, and I will show these humans what real warfare looks like. They caught you off guard once. It will not happen again. The Council agreed. Within days, the largest fleet in Empire history was assembled. 100 ships, armed with the most advanced weapons available. The Empire's best soldiers, trained from birth for combat. This time, there would be no mistakes. On Earth, the celebration was short-lived. Satellite telescopes detected the new alien fleet long before it reached the solar system. This force was 3 times larger than the first one, and the ships looked different. More heavily armored, bristling with weapons. President Foster called an emergency meeting of world leaders. The mood was grim as she addressed the group. Intelligence suggests this new fleet is much more dangerous than the first. They're not making the same mistakes. They know what our weapons can do now. General Stone presented the latest intelligence reports. The lead ship appears to be a Dreadnought-class vessel. Our analysts estimate it could destroy our entire orbital defense network with a single bombardment. Dr. Nina Chun had been working around the clock since the first battle, analyzing captured alien technology. She had made disturbing discoveries. The good news is that we understand their shield technology now, she explained to the assembled leaders. The bad news is that they've probably figured out how to counter our kinetic weapons. We need a new approach. In her laboratory, Dr. Chun worked with her team to develop new weapons. But they were running out of time. The alien fleet would arrive in less than a week. Meanwhile, Colonel Amy Fisher was leading a special mission. Her team had been tasked with capturing an intact alien ship from the previous battle. They needed to understand the enemy's new technology. The alien ship they boarded was damaged but functional. Amy's team moved through the corridors carefully, studying everything they saw. The ship's design was different from the monitoring stations they had seen before. Heavier armor, better weapons, more sophisticated systems. "Colonel," called out Sergeant Mike Turner from the engine room. "You need to see this." Amy joined him at a control panel covered in alien symbols. Mike had connected a human computer to the alien system and was downloading data. "Their new ships have adaptive shielding," Mike explained. "The shields learn from attacks and adjust to counter them. Our kinetic weapons might not work as well this time." Amy felt a chill. If their main advantage was gone, how could they win against a much larger fleet? Engineer Pete Collins was working on a different approach. Instead of trying to punch through alien shields, he was developing weapons that would go around them. Mines that could be deployed in space, waiting for ships to pass nearby. Smart missiles that could change direction after being fired. Anything that might give humans an edge. But the real breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez, who had escaped from the alien monitoring station, brought back crucial intelligence about alien psychology. "They're not used to taking casualties," Sam explained to the military leadership. "When their people start dying, they panic. They make mistakes. But more importantly, they're not used to fighting for long periods without rest." Dr. Kate Adams, a military psychologist, was fascinated by Sam's report. "Are you saying they have limited endurance compared to humans?" "Exactly. I watched them for days. They need regular rest cycles. They can't function effectively for more than a few hours without sleep. And when they're tired, they make bad decisions. This information gave the human commanders a new strategy. Instead of trying to win a single decisive battle, they would fight a long campaign designed to exhaust the alien forces. Admiral Laura Banks was put in command of the new strategy. Her plan was simple but brutal. Never let the aliens rest. Attack them continuously, from multiple directions, forcing them to stay alert and active until they collapsed from exhaustion. The alien Second Fleet arrived in the solar system with overwhelming confidence. War Master Thekvar stood on the bridge of his dreadnought, studying the puny human defenses. "They have repositioned their forces," reported his tactical officer, "but their numbers are still insignificant compared to ours." Thekvar made a sound of contempt. "Begin the bombardment. Target their orbital installations first. Show them the power of the Empire." The alien fleet opened fire, but this time the humans were ready. Instead of meeting the attack head-on, human forces scattered and regrouped. They used hit-and-run tactics, striking at the alien fleet from unexpected angles and then disappearing before the aliens could respond effectively. Commander Alex Turner led a squadron of stealth fighters on a night attack against the alien rear guard. His ships were painted black and equipped with noise-dampening systems. They approached the alien fleet like ghosts in the darkness. "Target their sensor arrays," Alex ordered. "Blind them, then get out." The attack was quick and brutal. Human weapons destroyed the aliens' long-range sensors, leaving them unable to detect incoming attacks. By the time the aliens realized what had happened, the human fighters were gone. But the aliens adapted quickly. They began using rotating patrol patterns and overlapping sensor coverage. War Master Thekvar was learning to fight like a human. The battle continued for days. Neither side could gain a decisive advantage. The aliens had superior technology, but the humans had better tactics and unlimited endurance. Dr. Chun made another breakthrough while analyzing battle footage. She noticed that alien ships began making mistakes after extended combat. Their reaction times slowed, their formations became sloppy, their decision-making deteriorated. "They're getting tired," she reported to Admiral Banks, "just like Sam said they would. We need to keep the pressure on." The Admiral smiled grimly. "Understood. All units maintain continuous operations. No breaks, no retreats. Keep hitting them until they crack." The strategy worked better than anyone had hoped. After 72 hours of continuous combat, the alien fleet began to fall apart. Ships collided with each other due to pilot fatigue. Weapons missed their targets because gunners were too tired to aim properly. Communications broke down as exhausted officers made critical errors. War Master Thekvar was experiencing something he had never felt before: desperation. His warriors were the finest in the Empire, but they were being worn down by an enemy that refused to rest. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we're receiving distress calls from multiple ships. They're requesting permission to withdraw for rest and repairs." Thekvar wanted to refuse, but he could see the exhaustion in his own crew. They had been fighting for 3 days straight, something that no Zephyrian force had ever done before. "Rotate the fleet," he ordered reluctantly. "Pull back half the ships for rest. The others will maintain the attack." But the humans were waiting for this moment. As soon as the alien fleet split up, human forces attacked the isolated groups. Ships that had separated for rest found themselves surrounded and overwhelmed. Captain Jake Morrison led the assault on one of these groups. His ship, the UE Sithines, had been upgraded with new weapons designed specifically for this battle. "They're trying to retreat," reported his weapons officer. "Should we pursue?" "Negative," Jake replied. "Let them go. We want them to tell the others what happened here." The surviving alien ships regrouped, but their morale was shattered. They had never faced an enemy that could fight continuously for days without rest. The humans seemed to have unlimited energy and determination. High Commander Velther, who had been demoted to a support role, watched the battle from his smaller ship. He could see what War Master Thekvar could not. The humans were winning through sheer persistence. "Sir," he reported to the War Master, "recommend immediate withdrawal. Our forces are combat ineffective due to exhaustion." Thekvar's pride would not let him admit defeat. "We will continue the attack. The Empire does not retreat from primitives." But the decision was taken out of his hands. Ship after ship reported critical failures due to crew exhaustion. The mighty Second Fleet, which had arrived with such confidence, was falling apart. The final blow came when human boarding parties captured 3 alien ships whose crews had literally fallen asleep at their posts. The humans found the alien warriors unconscious in their battle stations, overcome by days of continuous combat. For the first time in Empire history, a Zephyrian fleet was forced to retreat, not because they were outfought, but because they were too tired to continue fighting back as the battered alien ships limped away from Earth. They carried with them a new understanding of human capabilities. The Empire Council chambers had never been so quiet. Supreme Chancellor Mordak stared at the report from War Master Thekvar, reading it for the 3rd time. Around the great circular table, representatives from 12 species sat in stunned silence. 2 fleets, the Chancellor said slowly. "We have lost 2 fleets to a species that still uses chemical rockets." The Vel-Torian representative, a tall creature with crystalline skin, spoke first. "Perhaps we should reconsider our approach. The humans have proven more resilient than expected." High Commander Velther, now stripped of his rank, but kept as an advisor due to his experience with humans, nodded. "Supreme Chancellor, I have been studying their tactics. They do not fight for territory or resources. They fight for survival. This makes them extremely dangerous." Supreme Chancellor Mordak turned his ancient eyes toward the former commander. "Explain?" "When most species face superior force, they surrender to preserve their population. Humans do the opposite. The more desperate their situation becomes, the more dangerous they become. They will sacrifice everything to protect their world." The Korthok War Master, Thekvar, entered the chamber. His once proud bearing was replaced by something the Council had never seen before: fear. "The humans have done something unprecedented," Thekvar reported. "They have reversed the flow of battle. Instead of defending their world, they are now attacking our positions throughout the outer system." On Earth, Admiral Lara Banks stood in the command center of the newly constructed orbital fortress. Through the viewing ports, she could see the construction of dozens of new warships. Human industry had shifted completely to war production, and the results were impressive. "Admiral," called Captain Jake Morrison, now promoted to fleet captain, "we've received confirmation. The human expeditionary force has successfully captured the alien base on Europa." Lara smiled. The humans were no longer just defending Earth. They were taking the fight to the enemy. Commander Alex Turner led the assault on the Europa base. His team had been studying alien technology for months, learning to use their own weapons against them. The base fell in 6 hours, something that should have been impossible. "The aliens fight well when they have the advantage," Alex reported to his superiors. "But when they're surprised or outnumbered, they fold quickly. They're not used to being the underdogs." Dr. Nina Chun had made the breakthrough that changed everything. Working with captured alien technology, she had not only learned to replicate their weapons, but to improve them. Human-built energy weapons were now more powerful than the originals. The key was understanding their power distribution systems. She explained to President Foster during a secure briefing. "They design everything for efficiency and safety. We design for maximum output, even if it's dangerous." The president looked concerned. "Dangerous how?" "Our weapons have a higher chance of exploding when they malfunction. But they also hit harder and penetrate deeper than anything the aliens have ever seen. We're trading safety for power. This perfectly represented the human approach to warfare. Where aliens built weapons that were safe and reliable, humans built weapons that were devastating, even if they were dangerous to use. Engineer Pete Collins had taken this philosophy to its extreme. His team had developed weapons that the aliens considered impossible. Kinetic rounds that could punch through any known armor, energy beams that overloaded alien shields, and most terrifying of all, biological weapons. The biological warfare program was Dr. Kate Adams' project. She had discovered that the sterile environments aboard alien ships made them vulnerable to Earth bacteria and viruses. They've never developed immunity to biological threats, she explained to the military leadership. A simple cold virus could disable an entire alien crew. General Stone approved the program, despite the ethical concerns. If they want to conquer our world, they need to understand what humans are capable of when their survival is threatened. The first use of biological warfare came during the battle for the asteroid mining station. Human forces released modified bacteria into the alien ship's air supply. Within hours, the entire crew was incapacitated. Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez, now promoted to captain, led the boarding party that captured the ship. They found alien warriors lying helpless in their beds, overcome by organisms that would barely affect a human child. It's not just that they're weak against our diseases, Sam reported. They have no concept of biological warfare. They don't even have protective equipment for it. The news of humanity's biological weapons spread through the alien fleet like wildfire. For the first time in Empire history, alien crews began to fear boarding actions. The idea that humans could disable them without firing a shot was terrifying, but humans were not finished. Sergeant Mike Turner had developed something even more disturbing: psychological warfare. Working with captured alien communications equipment, Mike's team began broadcasting human music, human voices, and human battle footage directly to alien ships. The content was designed to be as alien and disturbing as possible to non-human minds. They're not used to chaotic sensory input, Mike explained. Human music, especially heavy metal and punk rock, causes actual physical discomfort to most alien species, and our battle footage shows them things they've never seen before. The psychological warfare proved devastatingly effective. Alien crews began reporting nightmares, anxiety attacks, and complete breakdowns after exposure to human broadcasts. Some ships had to withdraw from combat simply because their crews could no longer function. War Master Ikvar watched his forces crumble from within his command ship. The humans had found ways to attack that no civilized species had ever considered. They struck at the body with diseases, at the mind with disturbing images and sounds, and at the soul with their relentless refusal to surrender. "Sir," his communications officer reported, voice shaking, "3 more ships are requesting permission to retreat. Their crews are compromised." Ekvar felt something he had never experienced before: the desire to surrender. But surrender was not an option for a Korthak warrior. The final battle came when humans launched their first interstellar attack. A fleet of human ships, equipped with captured alien faster-than-light drives, struck at a Zephyrian supply base 2 star systems away. Admiral Marcus Webb commanded the human fleet from the flagship U.E.'s Victory. The ship was a hybrid of human and alien technology, armed with weapons that existed nowhere else in the galaxy. "Target the supply depot," Marcus ordered. "Show them that nowhere is safe from human retaliation." The attack was swift and brutal. Human fighters swarmed through the alien base, using tactics that confused and terrorized the defenders. They fought in 3 dimensions, used debris as weapons, and employed boarding tactics that no alien force could counter. Captain Rachel Stone led her squadron through the space dock. destroying alien ships before they could launch. Her pilots flew with a reckless courage that amazed even their human comrades. "They're trying to ram us," reported one of her wingmen as an alien ship flew directly toward them. "Let them try," Rachel replied, spinning her fighter away at the last second. "They're not used to pilots who aren't afraid to die. The alien base fell in 4 hours." For the first time, the Zephyrian Empire had lost territory to an enemy force. The implications were staggering. Supreme Chancellor Mordak called for an emergency council session. The mood was desperate, as reports came in from across the Empire. Human raids were spreading panic among civilian populations. Client species were beginning to question their loyalty to the Empire. "The humans have changed the nature of warfare itself," reported the intelligence chief, a spider-like creature with compound eyes. "They use tactics that violate every convention of civilized conflict. What do you recommend?" The Chancellor asked. "Immediate ceasefire negotiations. The humans have proven they cannot be conquered by conventional means." War Master Vic Var disagreed. "A tactical withdrawal, perhaps, but not surrender. The Empire has never surrendered to anyone." High Commander Velther stood slowly. "With respect, War Master, the Empire has never faced humans before. They are not like other species. They do not follow our rules because they never agreed to them." The debate continued for hours, but the conclusion was inevitable. For the first time in its history, the Zephyrian Empire would have to negotiate with an enemy as an equal. Ambassador Dan Cooper received the alien transmission while aboard the diplomatic ship Hughes Harmony. The message was brief and to the point. The Zephyrian Empire requested an immediate ceasefire and negotiations. "They want to talk," Dan reported to President Foster. "After everything they've put us through, now they want to negotiate." The president's response was swift. "Tell them, our terms are simple. Complete withdrawal from our solar system. Recognition of human territorial sovereignty. And they pay for the reconstruction of everything they damaged." The negotiations took place on a neutral space station, hastily constructed in the asteroid belt between Earth and Jupiter. Representatives from both sides met under heavy security. Ambassador Cooper faced Supreme Chancellor Mordak across a table that had been designed to accommodate both human and alien physiology. The difference between the two species was immediately apparent. The Chancellor was tall and elegant, with the bearing of someone who had never faced real adversity. Cooper was. The stars in the Kepler sector had not known peace for 800,000 years. In the cold darkness of space, two mighty alien races fought a war that had lasted longer than most civilizations existed. The Zephyrians, beings made of living crystal, faced off against the Nixari, creatures that mixed flesh with metal in ways that made no sense to other species. Commander Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the USS Defiance, looking at the star charts that showed the battleground. Ahead, the human ship moved through space like a silent ghost, its crew of 50 preparing for what might be the most important mission in galactic history. Morrison was 35 years old, with brown hair and steady blue eyes that had seen too much combat, but nothing in his experience had prepared him for this. "Captain, we're getting signals from the war zone," said Lieutenant Amy Burke, his second in command. She was a small woman with red hair and quick hands that danced across her control panel. "The fighting is getting worse. Both sides are preparing for something big." Morrison nodded. He had read the reports, studied the history, and still could not believe what he had learned. The Zephyrians and Nexari had been killing each other for longer than humans had existed. What started as a fight over crystal mines had become something much worse. Now entire star systems lay dead, their planets turned to ash and rock. Dr. Carl Whitney, the ship's science officer, walked up to Morrison with a tablet in his hands. Whitney was older than most of the crew, with gray hair and glasses that made him look like a teacher. "Captain, I've been studying the battle reports. The numbers are incredible. They've destroyed over 10,000 worlds, billions of lives lost." "How did it go on for so long?" Morrison asked, though he already knew the answer. "Pride," Whitney said. "Both sides have weapons that can crack planets. Both sides have shields that can stop those weapons. They're perfectly matched. Every time one side gets stronger, the other side catches up. It's like watching two giants punch each other forever." The bridge fell quiet. Morrison looked at the faces of his crew. They were all young, all human, all volunteers who had signed up for a mission that no one fully understood. Earth's leaders had told them they were going to try something new, something that might end the longest war in galactic history. Lieutenant Danny Cooper, the communications officer, spoke up from his station. "Captain, we're getting a message from the Galactic Council. They want to know our position." Morrison almost smiled. The Galactic Council was made up of dozens of alien species, all older and supposedly wiser than humanity. They had been watching the Zephyri and Nexari war for thousands of years, too afraid to step in. But now they were asking humans for help. "Tell them we're on schedule," Morrison said, "and remind them that we're doing this our way." The truth was, nobody really knew what the human way was going to be. Earth had joined the galactic community only 50 years ago, when alien visitors had arrived and found humans still fighting wars with bullets and bombs. Most alien species thought humans were cute, but harmless, like children playing with toys. That was about to change. Sergeant Maria Santos, the head of the ship's small marine unit, walked onto the bridge. She was tough and strong, with scars on her hands from years of fighting. "Captain, my people are ready. But I have to ask, what exactly are we ready for?" Morrison looked at her, then at the rest of his crew. They deserved to know the truth, even if it sounded impossible. "We're going to stop an 800,000-year war in less than an hour." The bridge went silent again. Then Lieutenant Burke laughed, a short, sharp sound. "No pressure, right, Captain?" "The thing is," Morrison continued, "we're not going to do it the way anyone expects. We're not going to fight them. We're not going to talk to them. We're going to show them something they've never seen before." Dr. Whitney pushed his glasses up his nose. "The Council thinks we're crazy. They've tried everything: diplomacy, economic pressure, even military intervention. Nothing worked. The Zephyrians and Nexari have been killing each other for so long, they don't remember how to stop." "But we do," Morrison said. "Humans have ended wars before. We've done it by being smarter, not stronger. We've done it by thinking differently." The ship's AI, a computer system called Athena, spoke in a calm female voice. "Captain, we will reach the battle zone in 6 hours. Both alien fleets are gathering for what their communications suggest will be a final battle. Combined fleet strength is approximately 20,000 ships." Morrison felt his stomach tighten. 20,000 ships, each one powerful enough to destroy a planet. And they were taking 50 humans in one ship to stop them. "Athena, run a final check on all our special systems," Morrison ordered. "I want to know that everything is working perfectly. All systems are functioning within normal parameters," Athena replied. "The temporal displacement array is ready. The Genesis protocol is ready. Quantum weapons are ready." These were the secrets that Earth had developed in the 50 years since joining the galactic community. While other species had spent millions of years perfecting the same old weapons and defenses, humans had started from scratch. They had built something completely new. Morrison looked out at the stars ahead. Somewhere out there, two ancient enemies were preparing to destroy each other, and probably half the galaxy with them. In a few hours, he would sail his ship right into the middle of the biggest battle in galactic history. He was either going to save the galaxy or die trying. "All hands, prepare for battle," Morrison announced over the ship's communication system. "We're about to make history." 3 months earlier, President Helen Carter sat in the Oval Office, staring at a message that had arrived from space. The president was a woman in her 50s, with silver hair and the kind of calm face that came from making hard decisions. But this decision was harder than any she had ever faced. "They're asking us to do what?" she said to General Peter Shaw, who stood beside her desk in his military uniform. "End the war," Shaw replied. "The Galactic Council has tried everything else. They think maybe humans can find a way that nobody else has thought of." Carter looked at the alien message again. It was written in simple English, but the words seemed impossible. The Zephyrians and Nexari had been fighting for 800,000 years. Their war had killed more people than had ever lived on Earth. And now the galaxy's oldest civilizations were asking the newest one for help. "Why us?" Carter asked. "We've only been in space for 50 years. Most of these aliens have been traveling between stars since before humans learned to make fire." Shaw smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "That's exactly why they're asking us. Everyone else thinks like they do. We think differently." In another part of the building, Dr. Susan Blake was working on something that would change everything. Blake was a small woman with wild black hair and eyes that seemed to see things others missed. She was the head of Project Harmony, Earth's most secret program. "The problem isn't the war," Blake explained to her team of scientists. "The problem is that both sides have the same kind of thinking. They both believe that the only way to win is to be stronger than the other guy. They've been building bigger weapons and better defenses for thousands of centuries." One of her assistants, a young man named Dr. Kevin Hart, raised his hand. "So what do we do differently?" Blake grinned. "We don't try to be stronger. We try to be smarter. We build weapons that work in ways they can't understand. We build defenses that don't make sense to them. We show them that their whole way of thinking about war is wrong." The team had been working day and night for 2 years. They had studied every piece of alien technology they could find. They had learned about weapons that could destroy stars and shields that could stop black holes. Then they had thrown it all away and started over. "Humans have always been good at one thing," Blake continued. "We're good at finding new ways to solve old problems. When we couldn't fly, we didn't try to grow wings. We built airplanes. When we couldn't breathe underwater, we didn't try to grow gills. We built submarines." The real work was happening in secret shipyards orbiting Earth. Commander Tyler Stone walked through the halls of the USS Defiance, checking every system personally. Stone was Morrison's best friend and his second in command. He was a tall man with dark skin and hands that were always moving, always fixing something. "This ship doesn't look like much," Stone said to Chief Engineer Beth Rodriguez. "But it's going to change everything." Rodriguez was a tough woman from Texas who could fix anything that broke and improve anything that worked. She had been in charge of building the Defiance's special systems. "It better," she said, "because if it doesn't work, we're all going to die very quickly." The Defiance looked like a normal human warship from the outside. It was 2 kilometers long, with smooth metal sides and engines that glowed blue. But inside, it was completely different from any ship ever built. The walls were filled with technology that bent the laws of physics in ways that made alien scientists cry. "The temporal displacement array is the key," Rodriguez explained as they walked past a room filled with strange machines. "It lets us step outside normal space and time. We can be there and not there at the same time. Their weapons can't hit us because we're not really there." Stone nodded. He had studied the plans until his eyes hurt, but he still didn't fully understand how it worked. "And the Genesis Protocol?" That's the really crazy part, Rodriguez said. We can rebuild things at the atomic level. We can take a dead planet and bring it back to life. We can fix anything they broke. The crew of the Defiance had been training for months. They were all volunteers, all the best Earth had to offer. Jake Morrison had been chosen to lead them because he was the kind of person who could make impossible decisions without falling apart. The plan is simple, Morrison told his crew during their final briefing. We're going to fly into the middle of the biggest battle in galactic history. We're going to show both sides that fighting is useless. And we're going to do it without killing anyone. Lieutenant Amy Burke raised her hand. Captain, what if they don't want to stop fighting? What if they decide to shoot us instead? Morrison looked at her with steady eyes. Then we show them that shooting us won't work. We show them that everything they think they know about war is wrong. We show them that humans have found a better way. The ship's AI, Athena, had been programmed with every piece of information about the war. She knew the history, the battles, the weapons, the leaders. She could think faster than any human and calculate possibilities that would take years to figure out by hand. Based on my analysis, Athena said in her calm voice, there is a 67% chance that our mission will end the war. There is a 31% chance that we will be destroyed before we can complete our mission. There is a 2% chance of something unexpected happening. Morrison smiled. I like those odds. Dr. Carl Whitney had been studying the psychology of both alien species. The Zephyrians think in terms of crystal matrices, he explained. Everything is about structure and order. The Nexari think in terms of biological adaptation. Everything is about growth and change. But both species think about war the same way, as a problem to be solved with more power. And humans? Morrison asked. Humans think about war as a problem, to be solved with better ideas, Whitney said. We're about to prove that better ideas beat more power. The night before they left Earth, Morrison stood in his quarters, looking out at the stars. In a few hours, he would be responsible for ending a war that had lasted longer than human civilization. He thought about all the things that could go wrong, all the ways they could fail, but he also thought about all the things that could go right. If they succeeded, billions of lives would be saved. Whole star systems could be rebuilt. The galaxy could finally know peace. A message came through on his communication device. It was from Admiral Lisa Grant, the head of Earth Space. Fleet, Jake, the whole planet is watching. Don't let us down. Morrison smiled and turned off the device. He wouldn't let them down. He couldn't. Too much was at stake. The USS Defiance launched from Earth orbit at exactly 0800 hours. As it disappeared into hyperspace, carrying 50 humans toward the greatest battle in galactic history, President Carter stood at her window, watching the stars. Good luck, she whispered to the empty sky. The USS Defiance dropped out of hyperspace and into hell docked Captain Jake. Morrison gripped the arms of his command chair as the ship's sensors showed him what they were facing. Spread across the Kepler Nebula were 20,000 alien warships, 10,000 on each side, preparing for the final battle of an 800,000-year war. Sweet Mother of God, whispered Lieutenant Amy Burke, her voice barely audible over the bridge's humming computers. The Zephyrian fleet stretched across space like a wall of diamonds. Their ships were made of living crystal that caught and reflected the light from nearby stars. Each vessel looked like a giant jewel, beautiful and deadly. The smallest ships were a kilometer long. The largest were bigger than Earth's moon. On the other side, the Nexari fleet looked like something from a nightmare. Their ships were alive, made of metal and flesh twisted together in ways that hurt to look at. They pulsed like giant hearts, with weapons that looked like claws and teeth. Some of the ships were changing shape even as Morrison watched, growing new weapons or armor dot, and right in the middle, looking tiny and fragile, sat the USS Defiance. "Captain," said Lieutenant Danny Cooper from the communication station, "we're being hailed by both fleets. They want to know who we are and why we're here." Morrison stood up slowly. Around him, his crew worked at their stations, their faces pale but determined. They had known this moment would come, but seeing it was different from imagining it. "Put me through to both fleets," Morrison said. The main screen split in two. On one side appeared a Zephyrian commander, a being that looked like a walking sculpture made of blue crystal. Light moved through its body like blood through veins. On the other side was a Nexari war leader, a creature that was part machine, part animal, with metal teeth and glowing red eyes. "I am High Commander Zex Theri of the Zephyrian Empire," the crystal being spoke with a voice like wind chimes. "You are in a war zone, humans. Leave immediately or be destroyed." "I am Bioprime Nexus 7 of the Nexari Collective," the other creature said in a voice like grinding metal. "Your species is unknown to us. Withdraw or become test subjects for our weapons." Morrison looked at both aliens with steady eyes. "I am Captain Jake Morrison of the Earthship USS Defiance. I'm here to end your war." Both aliens stared at him. Then they started laughing. The Zephyrians' laughter sounded like breaking glass. The Nexari's laughter sounded like a machine tearing itself apart. "End our war?" Zextheri said. "Small human. This conflict has raged since before your species existed. What could children like you possibly do?" Nexus 7's red eyes glowed brighter. "We have been perfecting the art of war for 800,000 years. Your entire civilization is barely 50 years old in space. You are insects compared to us." Morrison smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "That's exactly why we can end your war. You've been fighting for so long. You've forgotten that there might be other ways to solve problems." Dr. Carl Whitney stepped forward. "Captain, I'm reading massive energy buildups in both fleets. They're preparing to attack. And they're preparing to attack us too," added Lieutenant Burke. "I count over 1,000 ships targeting our position." Morrison nodded. He had expected this. "Athena, are all our systems ready?" The ship's AI responded immediately. "All systems are functioning perfectly, Captain. The temporal displacement array is charged and ready. Quantum weapons are online. Genesis protocol is standing by." "Both of you listen carefully," Morrison said to the alien commanders. "I'm going to give you one chance to end this war peacefully. Call off your attack. Sit down and talk. Find a way to share the galaxy without killing each other." Zextheri's crystal body flashed with angry light. "We do not negotiate with insects. The Nexari will be destroyed today, after 800,000 years of war." Nexus 7's metal claws extended from its hands. "The Zephyrians will be consumed and recycled. This is the day we have been preparing for since the war began." Morrison sighed. "I was hoping you'd say that." He turned to his crew. "Red alert. All hands to battle stations. Prepare for combat." Alarms sounded throughout the ship. The bridge lighting changed from white to red. Around Morrison, his crew moved with practiced efficiency, their hands dancing over control panels, their voices calm and professional. "Captain," said Chief Petty Officer Nick Johnson from the weapons station, "both fleets are moving into attack position. They're going to hit us with everything they have." "Let them," Morrison said. "Sergeant Santos, are your Marines ready?" Sergeant Maria Santos spoke from the security station. "Ready for anything, Captain. Though I'm not sure what we're supposed to be ready for." Morrison looked at the tactical display. The Zephyrian fleet was forming a crystal wall, their ships, linking together to create a single massive weapon. The Nexari fleet was spreading out like a living net, their ships growing new weapons and armor. "Dr. Whitney, give me a power estimate," Morrison ordered. Whitney's face was pale as he read his instruments. Captain, they have enough firepower to crack a star. If they hit us with everything they have, there won't be enough left of us to fill a coffee cup. Good thing they're not going to hit us, Morrison said. Lieutenant Burke, prepare for evasive maneuvers. But not the kind they're expecting. Burke's hands moved over her controls. Temporal displacement array is ready, Captain. We can phase. Out of normal space on your command. The communication channels crackled with alien voices. Both fleets were coordinating their attacks, making sure they could destroy the small human ship before it could escape. Morrison listened to their plans and smiled. They're treating us like a normal ship, he said. They think we're going to run or fight like everyone else does. They have no idea what we can really do. Lieutenant Sam Wright, the helm officer, looked back from his station. Captain, should I take us out of range? No, Morrison said. Take. Use right into the middle of both fleets. I want to be close enough to see their faces when they realize they can't hurt us. The USS Defiance moved forward, a tiny dot of metal and hope sailing toward 20,000 ships they could each destroy. A planet. Behind them, the empty space of the Kepler Nebula waited silently, as if holding its breath. Incoming fire, shouted Johnson. Both fleets are firing everything they have. The space around the Defiance erupted with weapons fire. Crystal beams that could slice through moons, bioweapons that could eat through any armor, plasma cannons that burned hotter than stars. Enough firepower to destroy 100 worlds focused on one small human ship. Morrison sat in his command chair, watching death approach at the speed of light. Now, he said quietly, the USS Defiance disappeared. The weapons fire from 20,000 ships passed through empty space where the USS Defiance had been a moment before. Crystal beams and bioweapons and plasma cannons hit nothing but vacuum and nebula dust. On the bridge of the Defiance, Captain Jake Morrison watched the tactical display with satisfaction. The ship had phased out of normal space-time, existing in a state that no alien scientist had ever imagined possible. They could see the battle, but the battle could not see them. Report, Morrison said calmly. All systems normal, replied Lieutenant Amy Burke. The temporal displacement array is working perfectly. We're existing in a quantum state between dimensions. Their weapons can't touch us because we're not really here. Dr. Carl Whitney looked up from his science station, his face excited. Captain, the energy readings from both fleets are incredible. They're confused and scared. They don't understand what happened to us. On the main screen, Morrison could see both alien fleets searching for the human ship. Zephyrian crystal ships, pulsed with angry light, scanning every piece of space around them. Nexari bioships extended new sensor organs, trying to find their target. They're talking to each other, said Lieutenant Danny Cooper. Both fleets are demanding to know what happened. They're actually working together to find us. Morrison smiled. Good. Maybe this will teach them that they have more in common than they thought. He stood up and walked to the center of the bridge. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to do something that no one in galactic history has ever done. We're going to show two ancient civilizations that their way of thinking about war is completely wrong. Lieutenant Sam Wright at the helm station looked nervous. Captain, what exactly are we going to do? We're going to phase back into normal space, Morrison said, but not all at once. We're going to appear and disappear, move through there. Ships like ghosts. Show them that everything they think they know about physics is wrong. Dr. Linda Parker, the quantum engineer, spoke up from her station. Captain, I've been monitoring the quantum field. The alien ships are generating massive amounts of energy trying to find us. If we phase back in at the wrong moment, we could destabilize their entire fleets. That's the idea, Morrison said. Not to hurt them, but to show them how helpless they are against technology they don't understand. He turned to his crew. Remember, we're not here to fight. We're here to end a war. Everything we do from this moment forward is about showing them that fighting is useless. Morrison nodded to Burke. Phase us back in. Right in the middle of the Zephyrian fleet, the USS Defiance materialized between two massive crystal ships, so close that Morrison could see the alien crew members inside. The Zephyrian ships immediately opened fire, but the Defiance phased out again before the weapons could hit. Now appear inside the Nexari formation, Morrison ordered. The ship phased back in, this time surrounded by bioships that looked like giant insects. The Nexari weapons fired, but again the Defiance vanished before they could connect. Captain, said Chief Petty Officer Nick Johnson, both fleets are going crazy. They're firing at each other, thinking the other side is using some kind of new weapon. Morrison watched the tactical display. The ancient enemies were so confused and frightened that they were making mistakes, firing at shadows, hitting their own ships by accident. It's working, he said. They're learning that their weapons are useless against us. Now we show them what real power looks like. He turned to Dr. Parker. Activate the Genesis protocol. Target that dead planet over there. Parker's hands moved over her controls. Genesis protocol online. Selecting target planet designation Kepler 7. The planet was destroyed in a battle 3,000 years ago. On the main screen, Morrison could see the dead world. It was nothing but rock and metal, a lifeless ball of debris where millions of people had once lived. Both alien fleets had destroyed it during one of their battles, then forgotten about it. Begin reconstruction, Morrison ordered. The USS Defiance fired a beam of pure energy at the dead planet, but this was not a weapon. This was something completely different, something that alien science had never imagined. The beam touched the planet's surface, and immediately things began to change. The dead rock started to shift and flow like liquid. New land appeared, then oceans, then clouds. In the space of 10 minutes, the dead world came back to life. My God, whispered Dr. Whitney, we're actually doing it. We're rebuilding an entire planet. The alien fleets stopped shooting and stared. On their communication channels, voices spoke in wonder and fear. They were seeing the impossible, a dead world brought back to life by a species they had dismissed as children. Both fleets are trying to scan the planet, Cooper reported. They can't believe what they're seeing, Morrison smiled. Now they're starting to understand. We're not just another species with bigger guns. We're something completely different. The restored planet continued to change. Green plants appeared on the continents. Weather patterns formed in the atmosphere. The world that had been dead for 3,000 years was alive again. Phase us back into normal space, Morrison ordered. Right between both fleets. I want to talk to them. The Defiance appeared in the middle of the battlefield, no longer hiding. Morrison stood on his bridge, looking at the alien ships that surrounded them. This is Captain Morrison, he said over the communication channels. I hope you're paying attention. What you just saw was not a weapon. It was a tool. We can rebuild anything you destroy. We can bring back any world you kill. We can restore any life you end. The alien commanders appeared on his screen again. But this time, they were not laughing. Zextheri's crystal body was dim with shock. Nexus 7's red eyes were wide with something that might have been fear. How? Zextheri asked. How is this possible? Your species are old, Morrison said. You've had millions of years to perfect your weapons and defenses. But you've been thinking about war the same way for so long that you've forgotten there might be other ways. Nexus 7 leaned forward. What are you saying, human? I'm saying that we're not going to fight you, Morrison said. We're not going to try to be stronger than you. We're going to show you that strength doesn't matter. We're going to show you that everything you've been fighting for is meaningless. Lieutenant Burke spoke quietly. Captain, I'm reading power buildups in both fleets again. They're preparing for another attack. Morrison nodded. He had expected this. They're not ready to give up yet. They still think they can win if they just hit us hard enough. He turned to his crew. Prepare for the final demonstration. It's time to show them what humans are really capable of. The alien fleets moved into attack formation again. But this time, Morrison could see uncertainty in their movements. They had seen their weapons fail. They had seen a dead world brought back to life. They were beginning to understand that they were facing something beyond their experience. All weapons firing. Johnson reported. Once again, the space around the Defiance erupted with deadly energy. But this time, Morrison did not order the ship to phase out. Instead, he did something that no one expected. Redirect all incoming fire to the space between the fleets, he ordered. The ship's quantum weapons reached out and grabbed the alien weapons fire, bending it, twisting it, sending it away from the Defiance and into empty space. 20,000 ships fired their most powerful weapons, and all of that energy simply disappeared. Impossible, Zextheri whispered. Nothing is impossible, Morrison replied. You just have to think about it differently. The time had come for the final lesson. Captain Jake Morrison stood in the center of his bridge, surrounded by 20,000 alien warships that had just learned their weapons were useless. The silence in space was deafening. For the first time in 800,000 years, the Zephyrian and Nexari fleets had stopped shooting. Captain, said Lieutenant Amy Burke, her voice barely above a whisper, both fleets are dead in space. They're not moving, not firing, not doing anything. I think we broke them. Morrison looked at the tactical display. The crystal ships of the Zephyrians floated like frozen diamonds, their light dim and confused. The bioships of the Nexari had stopped pulsing, their organic weapons withdrawn like frightened animals. They're scared, said Dr. Carl Whitney. After 800,000 years of war, they've finally met something they can't fight. Morrison nodded. Now comes the hard part. We have to show them that we're not their enemy. We have to show them what peace looks like. He turned to Lieutenant Danny Cooper. Open a channel to both fleets. I want every ship to hear this. Cooper's hands moved over his controls. Channel open, Captain. You're broadcasting to all 20,000 ships. Morrison took a deep breath. This is Captain Morrison of the USS Defiance. I know you're confused. I know you're scared. You've just seen technology that doesn't make sense to you. You've seen your most powerful weapons fail. You've seen a dead world brought back to life. He paused, looking at the faces of his crew. They were all watching him, waiting to see what he would do next. But I'm not here to conquer you, Morrison continued. I'm not here to rule you. I'm here to save you from yourselves. On the main screen, the alien commanders appeared again. High Commander Zextheri looked like a crystal statue, beautiful and fragile. Bio Prime Nexus 7 looked like a machine that had forgotten how to work. What do you want from us? Zextheri asked. Morrison smiled. I want you to remember what you were fighting for. 800,000 years ago, this war started over crystal mines. Do you even remember which mines? Do you remember what made them so important? The alien commanders looked at each other, then back at Morrison. Neither of them spoke. You don't remember, Morrison said, because it doesn't matter anymore. You've been fighting for so long that you've forgotten what you were fighting for. You've been killing each other for hundreds of thousands of years over something that probably wasn't worth fighting about in the first place. Nexus 7's red eyes dimmed. But we cannot stop. We have lost too much. Too many of our people are dead. The war must continue until one side wins. No, Morrison said firmly. The war ends now, today, in the next 20 minutes. He turned to Dr. Emma Davis, the quantum physicist. Dr. Davis, Prepare the Genesis Protocol for full planetary reconstruction. I want you to restore every world that was destroyed in this war. Davis's eyes went wide. Captain, that's over 10,000 planets. The energy requirements alone would. We have the energy, Morrison said. We've been building it up for this moment. Show them what creation looks like instead of destruction. The USS Defiance began to glow with a light it was not quite light, an energy that was not quite energy. The ship's Genesis protocol reached out across the galaxy, touching every dead world, every destroyed moon, every shattered asteroid that had once been someone's home, and they began to come back to life. On the view screen, Morrison could see the faces of the alien commanders change. Wonder replaced fear. Hope replaced anger. They were watching their dead worlds return to life, their lost civilizations restored, their people brought back from extinction. This is impossible, Zexthery whispered. The energy requirements, the complexity. No one has this kind of power. We do, Morrison said. And we're giving it to you for free. No conditions, no demands, no tribute. We're giving you back everything you lost in this war. Nexus 7 leaned forward. Why? What do you gain from this? Morrison smiled. Peace, that's all we want. An end to the longest war in galactic history. A chance for both your species to build something better than weapons. Lieutenant Burke spoke up. Captain, I'm reading massive energy signatures from both fleets. They're powering down their weapons. Morrison nodded. They're starting to understand. When you can rebuild anything that gets destroyed, war becomes meaningless. There's no point in fighting when your enemy can just fix whatever you break. Commander Tyler Stone, Morrison's second-in-command, walked onto the bridge. Captain, we're getting messages from all over the galaxy. The Galactic Council wants to know what we've done. Other species are asking if we can help them with their problems too. Morrison looked at his crew. They had done it. They had ended an 800,000-year war in 50 minutes. But more than that, they had shown the galaxy that there was a better way to solve problems. Dr. Whitney, Morrison said, how many worlds have we restored? Whitney checked his instruments. 12,437 worlds, Captain, all showing signs of life. Oceans, atmosphere, vegetation. It's like the war never happened. Morrison turned back to the alien commanders. Both of your species are builders. The Zephyrians create beautiful crystal cities. The Nexari grow amazing biotechnology. You've spent 800,000 years destroying each other's work. What could you build together? Zexthery's crystal body began to glow brighter. Together? We are enemies. We have always been enemies. No, Morrison said. You were competitors. There's a difference. Competitors try to be better than each other. Enemies try to destroy each other. You forgot how to compete and learned only how to destroy. Nexus 7's metal claws retracted. But how can we trust each other? How can we be sure the other side won't attack again? Morrison smiled. Because now you know that attacking is useless. You've seen what happens when you try to fight us. And we'll be watching. If either of you starts this war again, we'll be back. He gestured to the restored worlds on the view screen. But more than that, look what you can accomplish when you work together. Imagine what you could build if you spent the next 800,000 years creating instead of destroying. Chief Medical Officer John Miller stepped forward. Captain, we're receiving requests for medical assistance. Both fleets have wounded from the battle preparations. Permission to offer aid? Granted, Morrison said. Sergeant Santos, prepare medical teams for both species. Let's show them what cooperation looks like. Sergeant Maria Santos nodded. Already on it, Captain. We've got medical supplies that can work with both crystal and biotechnology. Over. The next hour, something miraculous happened. Human medical teams beamed over to alien ships, treating wounded Zephyrians and Nexari side by side. For the first time in 800,000 years, members of both species were in the same room, without trying to kill each other. "Captain," said Lieutenant Cooper, "we're getting reports from the restored worlds. People are coming back." The Genesis Protocol didn't just rebuild the planets, it brought back the people who lived there. Morrison felt a chill run down his spine. "How many people?" "Billions," Cooper replied. "The quantum reconstruction brought back everyone who died in the war. They're confused, scared, but they're alive." On the main screen, both alien commanders looked stunned. The war had not only ended, it had been undone. Everyone who had died was alive again. Every world that had been destroyed was whole again. "This changes everything," Zexthery said quietly. "That's the point," Morrison replied. 800,000 years of war, and nothing really changed. Both your species are still here. Both your species are still strong. All that death and destruction was for nothing. Nexus 7 spoke slowly. "Our people will need time to understand this. We have been at war for so long that we have forgotten how to live in peace." "We'll help you remember," Morrison said. "Humans are good at that. We've ended wars before. We know how to build peace." Admiral Robert Clark's voice came over the communication system. "Captain Morrison, this is Admiral Clark. The Earth fleet is arriving to provide support. The President wants to congratulate you on a job well done." Morrison looked around his bridge at his crew. They had done the impossible. They had ended the longest war in galactic history without firing a single shot in anger. They had shown the galaxy that there was a better way to solve problems. "Thank you, Admiral," Morrison said. "But we're not done yet. We have a peace to build." He turned to the alien commanders. "High Commander Zexthery, Bioprime Nexus 7, I invite you both to join me aboard the USS Defiance. It's time to write a new chapter in galactic history." 2 hours later, the leaders of both alien species sat in the Defiance's conference room, talking instead of fighting. Outside the windows, their fleets had formed a mixed formation, crystal ships and bioships flying together for the first time in 800,000 years. "The Kepler Accords," Morrison said, looking at the treaty they had just signed, "named after the sector where the longest war in galactic history ended, where peace finally began." Zexthery's crystal body pulsed with gentle light. "Captain Morrison, your species has given us something we had forgotten existed: hope." Nexus 7's red eyes had dimmed to a soft amber. "We owe you a debt that can never be repaid. How can we thank you?" Morrison stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the mixed fleet. "Build something beautiful," he said. "Work together. Show the galaxy that the future is better than the past."